What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone's having a fantastic evening, afternoon, pre-noon, no matter where you are in the world. I'm Hasan Piker, and this is the HasanDaily broadcast coming to you live from home territory, home turf. It kind of feels like there is no home at this point. For me, home is where you make it type shit. But California, Los Angeles, folks, we are live. We are alive. And I hope everyone's having a fantastic one because today's a beautiful day. Today's a wonderful day. We're coming to you live from Stolen Tongue territory.
Michigan, a non-Schumer candidate comes forward, particularly.
Look at this. This is a conversation about PLATNERs campaign rocked by reports of extramarital sex. Is this the most consequential story? Extramarital sects, like sexting, sexual texts. They're doing round-the-clock coverage on this when you got a fucking concentration camp 50 miles away from the CNN studios in New York City, a concentration camp in Newark, New Jersey. And this is the maximum position that they're posting. They're constantly posting this. Every single one of these centrist Democrats supported Andrew Cuomo. And he was doing a lot more than sexting, right? He was doing a lot more than just harassment. He was sexually harassing and assaulting people as the goddamn governor. And people saw Zohran Mamdani as an insurgent candidate in the mayoral race and decided Andrew Cuomo should actually try to destroy the chances of having Zohran Mamdani as the next mayor of New York. And the very same people who stood proudly by the side of Andrew Cuomo, the cop rapist, as I like to call him, are now talking about fucking Graham Plattner sending salacious text messages before he ran for Congress, and a private conversation that him, his wife, and their former campaign manager had, who then turned around, left the campaign, and leaked that shit to mainstream media. It's ridiculous. If you cannot find it in your heart to support these people because you have scrutiny, understandable skepticism over their record, because you feel like you've been burned in the past, then focus on your actual opponents. Look at what your enemies are doing. If the far right is your enemy, as you claim they are, and the fascism from the far right is what you oppose, and the collaborators within the Democratic Party are also your enemies, how the fuck do you find yourself in line with those people? You think he's cooked? No, I don't think he's cooked. Hoosier leftist says, can we stop with the narrative that Plattner isn't a good candidate? Having a rough pass clearly didn't hurt his chances of defeating the sitting governor and the state party machine. He's been all over the state with packed town halls. Mainers clearly like something about him. To which I responded with, centrist libs and right wing cannot comprehend that people like his platform. People want to abolish ICE, hold Israel accountable for genocide, end our expensive wars, and spend that money on Medicare for all and schools instead. The optics of being a rugged white veteran doesn't hurt, but it's mostly the policies and his earnest way of communicating them that have made Mainers trust him. He was an unknown entity not even a year ago. He came out of fucking nowhere. What's the real reason? You think Democrats haven't run, white rugged veterans before? They have. Why do those guys fail? Democrats run vets all the time. They love masturbating to the idea of having like a CIA agent who is going to support establishment, neoliberal, centrist, pro-corporate policies. They fucking constantly put those guys up and they constantly lose. So why is this guy, an unknown guy out of nowhere, capable of defeating the Democratic Party machine and the Democratic Party's own governor in the state of Maine in the primaries, in spite of all odds? How is that possible? Is it because he's fucking, is it because he's a dog? Is that what you think it is? Before anybody knew anything about him? Is it because he's just like, oh, he's so rugged, he has a grovelly voice? Is that what it is? No, that's not the reason. I said I have my own doubts about his service in mercenary work, but I'm not silly enough to assume that Maine voters would see that as a negative. The desperate manufactured outrage around his personal issues don't matter when voters see him as a vehicle to push for changes they want to see in the Senate. I'll give you an example that you can comprehend. Trump, like him, hate him, doesn't matter. Donald Trump created a campaign where there was a lot of buy-in from people. He was able to create a cult pretty much because he said, fuck the establishment, fuck the billionaires. I'm a billionaire and that's why I'm unbought. And people trusted him because he was saying things, sometimes saying things that we even agree with, like the fact that, corporate lobbying owns this entire system, saying that Washington is corrupt, it's a fucking swamp, and an objective anti-corruption message, and then offering a lot of amenities to those who actually subscribe to his message, saying like, it's the immigrants that are the enemy. It's the trans people that are the enemy. I'm going to fucking combat them. I'm going to do everything in my power to combat them. And he did. He gave him the red meat. That's what these deportations are. It's cruel. It's unjustifiable. It's inhumane. But he's doing it for his base. And that's why the base trusts him. His base trusts him. That's why that last 30% is unshakable, because he's tapped in to their primal needs, right? To constantly dominate vulnerable populations, to abide by white supremacist values. That's exactly what they're looking for. Well, the Democratic Party's base of support has different demands. The Democratic Party's base of support demand that their politicians fight back against corporate interests. The Democratic Party's base of support demand that their representatives push for their issues, to take away some of their stresses, their economic struggles, to aid them, rather than put corporate interests first. Corporate interests above the interests of the citizens, above the interests of the people. So when a politician comes out and is capable of saying those words, and also capable of establishing credibility in this space, no matter how lesser known they are. As a matter of fact, in this circumstance, being an unknown entity is probably more beneficial, because most people look at that and go, oh, he's not corrupted by the machine. And that's why they like him. This is not my analysis as far as, or not my personal opinion. This is my analysis over how people are reading Graham Plattner and why there's this major disconnect between Mainers and all of these people that fucking pack town halls everywhere he goes versus Twitter posters, versus establishment media. And when it doesn't work, they turn around and go, why is it not working? Why can't people see what we're seeing? This is a bad guy. And many of the same people virtue signaling about Graham Plattner supported confirmed rapist Andrew Cuomo. I said, if Graham Plattner was pro-Israel and against Medicare for all, the same blue no matter who Dems working alongside the Republicans to deny their own party a majority in the Senate would be presenting him as the second coming of Jesus Christ, which is also true. They don't give a fuck that he has a totem cloth tattoo. Are you kidding me? None of them ever cared about that. And they love that he was they would love that he's a grunt. Are you kidding me? They would love that he's a fucking machine gunner for the Marine Corps who's like demanding more reasonable politics, you know? Oh, we got to subsidize the Affordable Care Act. Like, they would be like, oh, I'm nutting the fattest ropes of all time. This shit's doing LeBron numbers all over, or dare I say, Wembayana numbers.
No, I was about to debate Charlie Kirk. Why the fuck would I want anybody to kill him?
Yeah, I got nuisance streamers up my ass. Everyone is trying to be the next Nick Shirley. I entertain the conversation in that moment because, like, you got to entertain it a little bit, right? And he just keeps pushing. So I retaliated in kind.
I know this is a difficult concept for you to understand, but I was actually supposed to debate Charlie Kirk 2 weeks prior to his assassination. Obviously, I have a very different method of going about things than the way that you're trying to present it, because if that was my mentality, I would never try to debate him. Charlie respected that. And it's really sad to see the rest of the remnants of the conservative movement refusing to carry the flame in the way that...
Yes, I meant after, but I said prior in that moment.
Charlie Kirk wanted it to be carried. I, on the other hand, do carry that flame because we are Charlie Kirk.
Discussing things like America deserves
we carry the flame. We fight for the gospel. Like we honor his name.
By working with the
Do you know those words? Do you internalize those words? You should.
If you say somebody...
Dude, it's so funny though that, like, even if you entertain these guys like decently, which you have to keep your cool. You always have to put your best foot forward. But immediately he was just like mixing up his talking points, turning around and being like, oh, well, why did you say Charlie Kirk deserved 9/11? Like, what? Because they're trying to farm clips. So you have to farm clips as well. You have to show that they're not being, first you show that they're not being sincere. Because, like, I'm always fine entertaining the conversation, and you just simply cannot lose your cool and lose your posture. And I certainly did not, because, like, I know how the clip farming operations work, right? You have to first hold frame, as Charlie Kirk would have intended for all of us to do as carriers of the flame, right? Quoting the song was honestly the way to go, lol. The song isn't edited in. Hasan can just make it play out of thin air. He's so fucking funny sometimes. The way Hasan always mentions that he's going to debate him is giving, I was supposed to be in the music video. Hasan, no one can make me hate you. I'm not going to lie. I don't like Hasan much at all, but this is a good clip. People who watch Hasan stream daily know he's effortlessly hilarious on the regular. So The thing you're supposed to do is, one, take them seriously at first to show that like you're willing. You're willing to entertain a conversation. But if they don't and they just start yelling and they're being weird and silly, the thing you can't do in that moment is like give in, right? You can't break frame. You can't get hysterical, because when you're not hysterical, when you're normal, calm, cool, and collected, they look hysterical. All right, that's enough. We can hit that. We can hit it now.
We are Charlie Kirk. We carry the flame. We'll fight for the gospel. We'll honor his name.
But like I said, when it doesn't work, when it's clear that they just like are not invested in having like any sort of serious conversation, which many of these guys don't care because they're not even fucking smart enough to like entertain a debate or anything. They just like keep slamming talking points back to back, to back. Then you can just fucking diffuse the situation by humiliating them a little bit, by engaging in a little bit of fucking humor, and that's it. That's what I did there, because it was obvious to me that there was not going to be any sincere conversation to be had in that moment, but you got to show that you're willing to entertain it. Also, this shit got 47K likes on Twitter too. It did bananas. It did bananas numbers on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. People loved it. How did you not pop off on the other guys though? Well, there's a degree of pop off that you can do. You can't like, if there's a fucking kick streamer who's just like literally belligerent, like, brother, you also have to pick and choose, okay? You can't fight a fucking homeless crackhead. What do you want me to do? If you put a phone camera in the hands of a homeless crackhead kick streamer who's there screaming about Dan Clancy and Twitch outside of a fucking concentration camp, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Become a crackhead? Like, there's varying degrees. You got Fox News, which is like the most professional. The most professional fascists are obviously at Fox News. And then underneath that, you have like the Nick Shirley style clip farmers that are, trying to get a PragerU job. So they have to maintain a level of professionalism while they're bird dogging you. And then you have like straight up unaffiliated psychos who will, basically behave like, what's the guy? Chud the Builder. Fox News being the ceiling on professionalism is depressing. Yeah, but that's the case. And for the guys who are just insane, the best possible thing you could do is just be like, do you feel like you look good and normal here? What's up with the dude calling you fake socialist? I don't even remember which dude you're talking about, but who gives a shit? Yeah, okay, sure, I'm a fake socialist. Always deny the clip, because people will take it on the internet and portray it in whichever way they want to portray it. But the best thing you can do in that situation is just like jujitsu your way out of it by just denying them the clip. Deny the clip and then counter clip farm.